You have to play to win.
For the love of God and country.
Ignorance is bliss.
You can't take it with you.
Good night.
What's your emergency?
When you think in terms of your life, what do you think in terms of? Your family, your survival? Most people think in terms of their survival, and it's all about how they survive. In fact, to get a life, if you ask most people, it's about having a lover or a wife or a husband, children, and a job. And we kind of stop right there. We never go much further than that. It's only about our survival, and it's about our emotional, psychological, and of course our physical survival. Let me ask you something. That's it? That's as far as you go? What is your premise in this life? Most people don't have one when it comes to living. They think of their life as a matter of longevity, trying to stay alive as long as they possibly can, and to, so to speak, survive this life. But what does it mean? What beauty can there be in just my survival? I know a lot of people that survive very well. I do a lot of work with students who are into survival. In fact, survival is the #1 thing inside of them. It's the only thing they really care about. And guess what it does? It makes them ruthless, makes them mean, and it makes them selfish. And with those 3 elements inside their psychology, inside their mind, and how they rationalize and justify it, they make very little progress when it comes to awakening on the inside. So a lot of you are looking at this program going, I don't want to awaken, I don't care. That's the problem. Don't care. The old Buddha story becomes very beautiful. A man comes to Buddha and he says, you have said to us for years that we could all become enlightened. How come no one's enlightened? And Buddha said, go into the village and just ask all the villagers what they are most interested in. So the guy goes into the village, comes back the next night, and Buddha says, and what did you find? And he said, none of them are interested. Buddha said, this is why. I know you're not interested in it. You're looking for a philosophy, a religion, a technique, something like that. You just want your bases covered. That's basically what people are about, just getting their bases covered. And hoping maybe at the end there'll be some meaning to all of this, but there won't be, and that's the tragic part. So you raised your family, so you fed them, so you housed them, you know? In some ways, animals do it far better than we do it, and they accept life a lot more, let's say, abundantly than we do. We're always looking for more and better, which makes us ruthless and cruel and selfish. And how do I talk to you about your ruthlessness, your cruelty, and your selfishness when you have it all justified in your mind and you look around you and you see everybody else in the culture and the society doing exactly what you're doing? They're fighting for their jobs. They're fighting for their survival. They want their kids to be the best soccer kids, the best baseball kids. Goes on and on and on. So what is the meaning of a person's life? Hey, Alfie, what's it all about when what you're doing is trying to be better than everyone else? People who want to take advantage of you always know what to do. They try to teach you ways of survival, how to do things better, how to accomplish anything you want with your selfishness, your ruthlessness, your pride, vanity, cruelty, and justify it, make it look like this is God's will. I've heard it all in my years of sitting down and counseling and working with people. I've heard it all. Anything can be rationalized, anything. But that doesn't change my destiny, the way I'm going to live my life and how I'm going to find out the meaning of it, my karma, and what I have to face day in and day out. And it is certainly not going to change my fate. A lot of us suffer from our fate. We create fate through ignoring our karma. And the more I do that, the more I find that everything I do stays the same. No matter how hard you work, no matter how much money you make, no matter how much you have, you're still the same. Don't you get it? It isn't going to change because you have money, or you have a family, or you have a nice home or a car. It isn't going to change anything. A life worth living is to be that place inside you where you find the compassion and the ability to let life live you. People want control over their life. They think society is life. They think banks are life. They think what other people think of them is life. Their children are their life. I've heard this over and over and over again. But you still have a life. And what are you doing with it? Well, you're trying to do something with it instead of letting it do something with you. And that's the whole key to awakening on the inside. To trust in this life so deeply that you don't need to control it. You don't need to make it what you believe it ought to be. You're looking at it from a higher purpose, and that is that it might unfold within you. Bring you to a place that is beyond your common thinking, that small box, and then I'll set you free. You might have a chance to be the beauty that you seek in your life. You might have the chance to be the bliss that you are inside your heart. Gandhi once said, "A man is only as good as his heart is true." And he is right. Can you be true to your heart? This is all about love. We're in these beautiful gardens, Japanese gardens right now. They're so gorgeous in Saratoga, California. But I can tell you, there is a silence in these gardens and a beauty that you can't get any other way but by being quiet on the inside. It's really hard to avoid the self-absorbedness of this culture and society that we live in. So much money every year is made off the vanity and the pride of people. It's the #1 economic thrust in our country. And the sad aspect of it all is we support it. So when it comes to doing a spiritual practice, or what it would be to have a life that was really meaningful, a life worth living, it would have to include a lot of gratification for people. In this society, people don't do anything unless there's some benefit, some little goodie, some little reward, a little treasure, a present that they get for whatever they do. You got to always be giving people something. It's like a bartering thing. Life does not barter with us. And the sad aspect is that we're so selfish, we don't even see the way of our selfishness and our pride. We just keep it going and going and going. In a spiritual practice, selfishness has to be replaced with selflessness. And that is not something that most people are interested in. People will come and watch me on TV, listen to me on radio, come to an seminar or an occasional workshop, and they're always auditioning me for their life. Is he going to say something I think I need? Is he going to say something I think other people might, if they see it in me, think I'm cooler in? Is he cool enough to be my guru? That's not what this is all about. I offer to you wherever I am in my workshops, my seminars, these TV programs, my radio programs, everything I do to help you understand something. It is all about letting go of the self, and that a life worth living has nothing to do with aggrandizing this self of mine, Gregory or whoever you are. The more interested you are in gratifying yourself, the less of a student, or the less you will be able to feel the beauty of your life. See, students, to me, I'm a student, you're a student, we're students of this thing called life. I am here to learn from the ebb and the flow of this life. I am not here to conquer it, to master it, to make it do what I want. People love the idea, oh, I can conquer my life, I can do this, I can conquer that, I can go over here and make this happen, not make that happen. For a while, it may appear that way. But in doing so, you only seal your fate, and you create a ton of karma for yourself by doing it. No, it's hard to teach Westerners, and it's hard to teach anybody these days, how to find the selflessness that lives within them, that is in direct proportion to the beauty that lives within them. You're looking for answers to your life. You're looking for a meaningful life. So where do you go? Oh, you look in the newspaper for a new house, go look for a new car, maybe go find a new outfit to wear that's cute. That's what your life is all about. The meaning of your life is in proportion to your heart. And if you can feel the creativity of your heart, you will feel the oneness of yourself in all of this. This is so beautiful. The meaning of this is magnificent, but it's nothing that the mind can find gratification in. It's nothing that the mind can even appreciate. And we train our children, we train our friends, we train ourselves, we train our dogs. It's all about gratification. And if we're not gratifying, then it doesn't appear to be meaningful. You can't teach people this kind of stuff. All I can do is say, when you are ready, you will find a way inside of yourself to look at all of this and go, I missed it. A life worth living has nothing to do with what I've accomplished in my life. So for those of you sitting back there listening to me and saying, oh, I've accomplished so much, I don't need this kind of stuff. Really? It'll be interesting. It's fascinating to me what death does. It brings us all to our knees, and it all makes us question exactly how we've lived our life. I say practice selflessness. Instead of trying to be in competition with others, making yourself the top dog of whatever it is that is going on, maybe the way to live your life would be to come to a place where there's enough mercy inside of you that you might be able to forgive and give, where you're able to look at your life from a different perspective. Instead of as a philosophy, trying to satisfy your low self-esteem or your feelings of poor worth, that you begin to fulfill your heart more, that you begin to find the art in this life. I have a lot of students who are artists, and the ones that are truly artful are the ones who let their art flow through them. And as they allow this art to flow through them, they find a meaning in themselves beyond what it is that they think they're doing. In fact, they drop the self to such a degree that there is no self, there's just the art. And if they were here on camera, they would tell you that. It's just about the art. It's about the art of really living, not trying to make life pretend like it's mimicking me. Wow, a life worth living. It's about stepping over the line and being selfless to the point of looking like a fool.
I like the fact that I'm learning what love is. I'm learning what love isn't, learning to let that go so that the love inside me can just come out.
If I convey anything to you in this particular program, I want you to understand that hate never yet dispelled hate, as Buddha said, that only love dispels hate. And if you can begin to appreciate the meaning of that statement, it will change the energy, the focus. You'll start to have a sense of creativity. Here is the really ugly part of all of us. We actually believe as a culture and a society that we can live in hatred, act in hatred, speak in hatred, and end up in love. We really do. We think there's evil out there, and if we fight the evil and we hate it, that we'll find love in our life. We don't really understand the ramifications of our karma, of our destiny, of our faithfulness that we have. We really don't get it. And we insist upon hatred. Hatred is our psychology. It is our basic way in which we survive. And that's why our lives are the way they are, less than meaningful. What do I mean about this hatred? Well, I can provoke you to hate a lot easier than I can provoke you to love. If I start stirring up the feel of love in you, you're going to become suspicious of me. And then you're going to think, oh, he just wants something out of me. But I can always provoke hate out of you all the time. I only have to say a few words here, a few words there. You're easily offendable. Doesn't take anything to offend the American public anymore. Everybody's offended. And why? Because we love hate so much. And we think in that we're going to find love. A little goony in my thought. But who am I? Just a teacher. Let me give you some little instances of how we like to think of hate bringing us love. Let's say somebody does something to you that you think is uncalled for, that you didn't deserve. You know, your little persecution complex comes up, and then you start thinking to yourself, oh, I didn't deserve that. They shouldn't have said that to me. That was unfair of them. And then you get in an argument, and there you are there. Or maybe there's someone who has a disagreement with you, and you just keep it going and going and going because you've got to win. You've got to be the top dog. You've got to be top on the list. So you're not going to let anybody take away from your moment. How about when there is a chance to give and forgive, and you don't do it because you're so busy feeling that pride inside of you that says, why should I forgive them? They wouldn't do it for me. All of these little persecution complexes develop within us some really ugly stuff. And we start assuming that our hatred is okay. And it can be rationalized through anybody's mind, but you'll never arrive at love, because at the end, nobody will tell you this, but You're just a big pain in the butt to be around. And that's about what it amounts to in the end. You know? Look, I can't talk you into any of this. I can't say to you, go for love, because you won't go for it. But you're going to have to eventually find that a life worth living happens only when you're in the creative mode of love and you let love live you, just like life is. It means I'm going to have to drop this self, this idea that I have a Gregory Penn self. Gregory was made up of his mother, his father, and they were made up of their mother and fathers and their mother and fathers and their mother and fathers until it's just a great big mess. And I'm just carrying on what they did. You got to stop that somewhere. There has to be a place where, as Jesus said, you love your enemy as yourself. You've got to stop somewhere. So the next time someone does something to you that you think is uncalled for, unfair, unkind, you didn't deserve it, stop the cycle. Forgive them quickly, just like that. And instead of making an issue out of everything, stop making issues out of everything. Just bow. Just kind of say within yourself, thy will be done. Start to feel the presence in you by looking at them and realizing you could have done the very same thing they did. Exactly. You've done it before in your life. Others have done it to you. Keeping it going doesn't change anything, just builds more hate. What if you as a person stopped it right there? You just didn't go on with it any further, any longer. And you instead forgave them. You let it go. 2 dogs on a rag. One lets go of the rag. That's how you begin. Just in little moments like that, over and over and over again in the course of your lifetime. If you start working upon this simple little method I've given you, you can make some big changes in your own life. Don't make enemies. Don't hold resentment towards people who have despitefully used you. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Love them. Be kind to them. Forgive them. We know not what we do, and none of us is perfect. I'm not, you're not, none of us are. And we're all with fault because we have a human body. As Lao-Tzu said, if you didn't have a human body, there wouldn't be any difficulties. There wouldn't be any problems. A life worth living, it's to live in the compassion of a love the mind cannot know. Well, how do you live with yourself? Have you ever considered how gracious and generous everybody is living around you? Well, with me, that's the way it is. I never thought of people living around me or with me as them being very lucky, but I have always thought to myself, what an honor to live with myself and maybe to live with someone else that I can talk to and relate to. Everybody's in your life for a meaning, a reason, and a purpose that exceeds your intellectual reasoning and understanding. How do you live with yourself? It's a very big question. It's one of the things I talk about in my CDs. How do you live with yourself? Do you live with contempt? Do you like yourself? Do you dislike yourself? Do you try to augment yourself, change yourself, make yourself better, more presentable? Has anybody ever said to you, you're just fine the way you are, just bloom, just grow, just unfold the way you need to? Not many people do that to us, do they? Well, nonetheless, that's what I'm saying to you. You don't need to push the river up the stream. You are who you are for now. Let yourself evolve. A life worth living is to find out who you are, not make yourself into anything more than what is occurring within you. Some of you are going to need some catharsis, some let go, some spiritual work. Others of you are going to need to practice some silence, some meditation to get in accord with your life. Whatever it is that is your life direction, follow it with all of your heart, with all of your soul, all of your strength. If you find out who you are, not intellectually, but spiritually, if you can find out what's going on inside you, you'll find a way to live your life in the most creative and constructive way possible. A life worth loving and living. I'll see you next time on Aspire. Thanks for watching. Namaste. What are you doing? I'm practicing meditation.
What in the name of Buddha for?
I want to become enlightened. I want to be a Buddha.
Enlightenment? Nirvana? These words are a stake to which a donkey is fastened. Sheesh, you're not going to get it. I've been selling water next to the river for crying out loud all these years.
Huh?
We practice zazen to express true nature. If by a seated meditation a frog becomes a Buddha, then all frogs are Buddhas.
Are you calling me a frog?
Imbecile.
The stick. 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 Rub. Great stick. We got that stick in Stickia.
One stick take.
Yep. Let's do it again.
Should have had it yesterday. Woo.
We're a peace-loving people. Okay. We nailed it. We're going to do a second just as a cover. We nailed that one too.
Stick.
Stick. It's all due to the stick. Stick. It's good. We may move on now. Do first quality stuff. If we move quickly now, we may go have lunch.
Come to a Fillmore.
Lunch on a shoot.
Good first.